What do you do when the woman you've loved, cried with, and prayed beside for 10 years turns out to be the reason behind your deepest pain? For Dozie, the truth came not from a prophet or a doctor, but from a voice he never expected, in a place he never imagined. This is a powerful but educational tale of betrayal. Please grab your popcorn, sit tight, let's go. But please like and share the video. Subscribe for more interesting stories. Thanks. The sky over Enugu that Saturday morning was grey, as though it mourned something hidden or something lost. Dozie, a successful civil engineer in his mid-40s, sat in his living room, pressing a cup of cold tea to his lips. His wife of 10 years, Chinyere, was upstairs, humming softly as she rearranged their wardrobe for the 4th time that month. Dozie had reached a point of silent desperation. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of prayers, 10 years of hospitals, herbalists, and helpless nights, and still no child. It wasn't for lack of trying. Dozie had taken them to fertility clinics in Nsukka, Lagos, and even one in Accra, Ghana. The results were always the same. Dozie, healthy. Chinyere, healthy. Yet Chinyere, tall, light-skinned, and stunning even in her house wrapper, would always shrug and say, "God's time is the best." His mother, Mama Ifeoma, had grown tired of waiting. Every visit to the house turned into a sermon. "Nam, marry another wife. This one is only enjoying your money and using you to eat chicken. Is it beauty you will raise as a child?" But Dozie had loved Chinyere too deeply, too blindly. She had swept into his life like a breeze after his first heartbreak, her calm voice and graceful presence healing wounds he thought were permanent. But love can become a trap, and Dozie was about to learn that the hard way. The clock ticked to 11:10 a.m. when his phone buzzed. It was his cousin, Adaobi, who lived in Abakpa. "Brother Dozie," she said hesitantly, "please don't be angry. I know this might sound strange, but I saw something yesterday that disturbed me." Dozie frowned. "What is it?" Adaobi lowered her voice. "I was at a women's gathering in town, a sort of high-level club meeting. I was serving drinks. They thought I didn't understand what they were discussing." Dozie sat up. "Go on." "Is this group, Umuadan Chekube, it's a secret society for elite women, beautiful, wealthy, untouched by childbirth. Their vow is simple: never bear children for any man. Keep your body tight, your face youthful, and your man obsessed." Dozie laughed bitterly. "That sounds like a Nollywood script, Ada?" But Chinyere was there, in their inner circle, and I heard her name directly. Dozie's hands shook. "Are you sure?" She even laughed when one woman complained that her husband was crying again about wanting a child. She said, "Tears means love. Let him cry. As long as he doesn't leave, you're winning." The line went dead in Dozie's hand. He stared into the empty space of the living room, every memory of their midnight prayers, fasting, and hospital visits flashing before him like knives. He remembered how he lost a big contract meant to change his life forever. How Chinyere had cried beside him, how she had knelt before the prophet at their church and wailed like a woman truly in pain. It had all been a show? Before Dozie discovered the secret that shattered his world, he had already suffered one of the most painful blows of his career, one that left him broken long before the truth ever reached his ears. It happened a year before he found out Chinyere's secret. At that time, things were looking up. Dozie had been shortlisted for one of the biggest civil engineering contracts in the Southeast, a road construction and bridge project in Nsukka, worth over 900 million naira. If he won the bid, his company would rise to the top. He would build not just roads, but a legacy. He and Chinyere would finally move out of their rented duplex in Independence layout and into a home they could call theirs. But destiny had other plans. On the day of the bid presentation, it was a hot Tuesday afternoon, the sun blazing over Enugu State Government House, where 5 contractors were gathered to present their proposals. Dozie wore his best navy blue suit, his files neatly arranged, his presentation perfected. He had spent weeks refining his proposal with his team, hiring a professional architect to model the bridge structure in 3D, even taking a bank loan to cover initial paperwork and guarantee fees. He was ready. When his turn came, he stood before the board of works, presenting with confidence and clarity. Every word was met with nods. One commissioner even whispered to another, "This one knows his work. His company is young, but he has vision." Dozie left the room glowing with hope. Chinyere called him that evening, and he said with joy, "We're close, so close. Start thinking of names. Maybe our first child will be born when this road is completed." She had chuckled and replied softly, "God will do it, my husband." But God was not the one who said no. Rather did Slay Queen choose her beauty and shape over having a child for her husband. 2 days later, one of the board members, Engineer Nwachukwu, called Dozie to meet privately at a bar in New Haven. "Dozie, let me be honest with you," he said, sipping a bottle of malt. "Your presentation was excellent. Among all the candidates, your company had the best structural plans and environmental management proposal." Dozie smiled. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot. But there's a problem." "A problem?" Nwachukwu leaned in. "The chairman, Chief Maduka, asked about your family, your background. He said you are married without a child." Dozie blinked. I don't understand." "He said, how can we entrust such a huge project to a man who has no child, no future lineage to protect? What if he runs away with the funds? There's no one to hold him responsible. No roots." Dozie's mouth went dry. "But that's not fair." "It's Nigeria, my friend," the man sighed. "Everything is personal. They said a man without a child is a man with no legacy. They gave it to engineer Ikenna, whose wife just gave birth to twins last month." Dozie sat there, stunned. All he had worked for, lost. Not because he lacked skill or honesty, but because he lacked a child. That evening, he came home late, drained and silent. Chinyere was watching a movie and munching chin-chin on the couch. She turned when he entered. "How did it go?" He sat down, loosening his tie. "They gave it to someone else." She looked up, confused. "But you said they liked your proposal." "They did, but they asked about our family. They think a man without children has nothing to lose, nothing to live for. They think I'm floating." Chinyere lowered her eyes. He looked at her, his voice cracking. 10 years, Chi. 10 years of sacrifice. 10 years of fasting, prayers, prophets, hospitals. I've done everything except die." She got up and knelt beside him, holding his hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Do you know how it feels to be judged for something you didn't cause?" he asked her. "I can build bridges, but I can't build a home. I can raise cities, but not a child." Tears dropped from his eyes. "I'm tired, Chi. I'm tired of being called the man with the beautiful barren wife." Those words stung her, deep. But still, she said nothing. She could have told him the truth then, could have ended it all. But instead, she just cried beside him, pretending to share the same pain he felt. That single moment changed Dozie. From that day forward, he lost faith in the world. He began withdrawing, sleeping less, smiling less. At work, he became mechanical. His laughter disappeared. The childlessness that wasn't his fault cost him the life he dreamed of, because society believes a man without children has no stake in the future. And all the while, the person responsible for his deepest shame slept beside him, praying fake prayers and lighting fake candles. That was the deepest betrayal of all. Not just the lie she told him, but the pain she watched him carry for something she caused. He screamed out loudly and collapsed on the floor from the flashback. That night, he didn't sleep. By 8 a.m. the next morning, he had packed his bags to leave the house, not out of weakness, but to clear his head. But something told him to confront her first. "Chinyere," he said, standing in the doorway of their bedroom. She turned, surprised at the firmness in his tone. "Yes, babe. Do you belong to a group called Umuada Nkwekube?" Her face shifted. For one brief moment, her mask fell. Fear flickered in her eyes. "What kind of nonsense question is that? You took me to different hospitals, prayer houses, and prophets, knowing fully well that you had no plans to ever give birth. You stood beside me and watched me suffer, watched my mother insult me, watched me cry for 10 years, 10 whole years." Chinyere's lips trembled. She opened her mouth but said nothing. "Answer me!" I joined before we married. I didn't plan for it to be this long. I was afraid of losing my shape, of you growing tired of me, of being like other women whose husbands cheated after childbirth. They told us it was the only way to keep our marriages alive. Tears spilled from her eyes. "And you thought a lie would keep our marriage alive?" She knelt down. "I wanted to stop, I swear, but they warned me. If I left, there would be consequences. They promised to expose me, destroy my name, ruin our marriage. I didn't know what to do." Dozie looked down at her and saw a stranger. Not the woman he had built his life with, but someone else. A performer, an actress, hiding her truth behind false prayers and fake tears. Dozie walked out of the house that morning. He didn't return for 3 months. During that time, he began counseling with his pastor. He also went for therapy, dealing with the anger, the betrayal, the feeling of being emotionally used. People around him began to whisper, "Has he taken another wife? Has he abandoned her?" When Dozie walked out of the house, it wasn't with anger in his heart. It was grief, the kind that makes even a strong man feel like a child. For 3 whole months, he vanished from Chinyere's life like fog on a hot afternoon. But for Chinyere, those 3 months were a slow, painful unraveling. At first, Chinyere thought it was just space, that Dozie needed time to cool off. So she remained calm. She still cooked his favorite meals and kept the house spotless. She still answered, "My husband traveled," whenever neighbors asked questions. But soon, the calls she made to him stopped ringing entirely. Then came Mama Ifeoma, Dozie's mother. She arrived one early Saturday morning with 2 of her eldest daughters and stood at the front gate, arms folded across her chest. "You said my son traveled, Abi?" she said, her voice heavy with sarcasm. "But I heard from his friend that he's staying in a guest house and goes to church every Sunday with Pastor Emmanuel. So who are you fooling?" Chinyere swallowed, trying to keep herself together. "Mama, please don't shout. Let's talk inside. I'm not entering this house," Mama barked. "This house of lies." 10 years. 10 full years, Mama shouted. "And you've been feeding my son lies, doing night prayers with dry eyes and empty womb. Do you know how many goats I've killed for your barrenness?" Chinyere's knees buckled. Then Mama Ifeoma dropped the bomb. "I know about Umuada and Chekubo." Chinyere froze. "Yes," Mama continued, "you thought your secret won't reach me, but my God is not asleep. I warned Dozie, but he was in love. Now, love has opened his eyes." The humiliation pierced deeper than knives. For the first time, Chinyere realized the walls were closing in. Back in the village, Dozie's family came together. They called a family meeting, and Chinyere was summoned. The elders of the family, all seated on plastic chairs in Dozie's father's compound in Mwo, looked at her with mixed disgust and disappointment. "You will return the bride price," one uncle declared flatly. "Dozie does not want you again, and we can't force him." "But I still love him," Chinyere cried. "Please, I can change. I swear, if he returns, I will give him children. I'll leave the club. I was brainwashed. I was scared." "You are not scared," an auntie cut in. "You are selfish." Even the youngest cousin, little Kenechukwu, who used to call her "Munye Dozie, give me biscuit," refused to look at her. After the meeting, Dozie's elder sister Ngozi followed her out and whispered coldly, "If I ever see you near our brother again, you will regret it. Our family doesn't deserve the curse you almost brought into it." By the third month, news had reached Chinyere's family in Nsukka. Her father, a retired headmaster and strong Catholic, summoned her to the village. She went, thinking she might find comfort, but when she arrived, they didn't even open the gate for her. Her younger brother came out and spoke to her through the fence. "Papa said you shouldn't enter. Mama is crying inside. What did you do, Chinyere? Did you really pretend to be Barren?" "I didn't mean it. I was trying to protect my marriage. They told me if I gave birth, Dozie might leave me. I didn't know it would go this far." "You brought disgrace to this house," he said flatly. "Papa said we should return your bride price and let you go. You're not welcome here for now." Even her mother, who had once prayed with her every night, wouldn't speak to her. She was too ashamed. "How can a daughter of mine do such a thing?" she told a neighbor later. "She turned marriage into theater. Who sent her?" Chinyere returned to Enugu, broken, empty, and alone. Friends avoided her. The members of Umuadan Chekube also began distancing themselves. The secret society started crumbling as more women were exposed. One woman's husband even called for her arrest. Within weeks, the club dissolved. Some women were chased from their homes. Others were summoned to traditional shrines to swear innocence. Chinyere, once the belle of Enugu society circles, now sat alone in a small flat in Thinker's Corner, surviving on leftover savings. The mirrors that once reflected her beauty now showed a woman hollowed out by consequence. One day, she sat with a neighbor's child and cried as she watched the girl play. The little girl asked, "Auntie, why are you crying?" Chinyere smiled sadly. "Because I once had everything, and now I have nothing. Not even a child like you." Months later, Chinyere received a letter. It was from Dozie. It read, "Chinyere, I do not write this letter with hatred, but with closure. I want you to know I forgave you the moment I walked away, but forgiveness does not mean forgetting. I loved you with my whole heart, and that's what makes this hurt so deep. But I now understand something important. Love without truth is a lie waiting to collapse. I wish you healing. I wish you light. But not in my home. Dozie." Months later, Dozie married Amarachi, a widow with one child. She was humble, respectful, and quiet. Everything his soul needed after years of emotional chaos. Within a year, Amarachi gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. People said Dozie laughed more now. His business had picked up again. He even won a smaller government contract and bought land in GRA. At church, he was a testimony. "God gave me double for my shame," he often said. He never spoke ill of Chinyere in public, but privately, he never allowed her name to be mentioned in his home. Moral lessons. Marriage built on lies cannot stand, no matter how beautiful the surface may look. Women should never sacrifice their core identity or betray trust in the name of keeping love. Body image should never come before life, truth, or the sacred bond of family. Secret societies and vows against nature only bring pain and regret. Truth always has a way of coming out, no matter how deeply it is buried. Do you think Dozie should have forgiven her and take her back? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Like and share. Thank you.